In this video, we will continue to learn how to simplify algebraic expressions by combining like terms. First, let's just remind ourselves why we are allowed to do something like 3 times 2n, but we're not allowed to add 3 plus 2n. So remember we talked about how multiplication is repeated addition. So 3 times 2n would be 2n 3 times. That's 2n plus 2n plus 2n, which would be 6n. So we're allowed to multiply 3 times 2n and say 6n because multiplication is repeatedly adding that 2n. And since 2n and 2n and 2n are like terms, we can combine them together to make 6n. However, 3 plus 2n are not like terms, and therefore we cannot add them together. Only the 2 is being multiplied by n. If I added them together and said 5n, you are indicating that the 3 is also being multiplied by n, which it is not. So remember, we only are going to add or subtract things that are like terms with the same variable, or two things with no variables. So let's remind ourselves first today how we use the distributive property. Pause the video and try these 3 problems on your own. For problem number 1, 4 times the quantity of x minus 8, we want that entire quantity of x minus 8 to be multiplied by 4. Not just the x, but the 4 minus 8. Since we don't know what x is, we have to multiply 4 by the x and then also by the 8, giving us 4x minus 32. For our second problem, we are multiplying the quantity by a negative 3, so we need to make sure we are careful with that negative sign. Negative 3 times 7 minus negative 3 times 3g. This is going to give us negative 21 plus 9g, because we're subtracting a negative 3 times 3, which is a negative 9g. And remember that double negative will turn to a plus. For our last one, 2/3 times 3r plus 2/3 times 9s. 2/3 times 3r. The 3's will cancel, but the r will not, so that would make it 2r. And then 2/3 times 9s over 1. The 3 will cancel the 9 and will become a 3. So 2 times 3s will become 6s. Now the reason we're reviewing the distributive property today is because we are going to incorporate those into our simplifying expressions. So sometimes the expressions will require the use of both the distributive property and combining like terms. When both steps must be done, you always distribute first and then combine like terms. The distributive property is multiplication, and the combining of the like terms is addition and subtraction. So if we remember from PEMDAS, the multiplication always comes before the addition and subtraction. So that's why we need to do the distributive property first, and then we will get rid of all of the multiplication, leaving us only with adding and subtracting left. So let's take a look at some of these problems. I'm going to use the different colors here to identify our like terms once I do the distributive property. So if you would like to, you can use those as well while you're filling in your notes. So first here you can see we have these parentheses. This negative 3 is being multiplied by this quantity of 2x minus 6. And so before I find my like terms, I need to make sure I get rid of the multiplication. So negative 3 times 2x minus negative 3 times 6, and then we aren't multiplying to the 8x because that's not part of the quantity that we're multiplying by negative 3, so we can just bring that straight down. Negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x minus negative 3 times 6, which is a negative 18, and then plus 8x. Now we want to get rid of that double negative, so we're going to change that to just plus a positive. Now we are only left with addition and subtraction, and we want to now find our like terms so that we can simplify our answer just a little bit. In this case, I only have one pair of like terms, and that's my negative 6x and plus 8x. So negative 6x plus 8x is going to be 2x. And then my plus 18, I don't have anything to combine it with, so I can just bring that down with a 2x. So my final answer is 2x, 8 and 18. And remember, when we have our two parts or 3 or 4 parts of our answer, we combine them together with a plus sign. So 2x plus 18 is our answer for this expression in simplest form. So this is equivalent to this. It just looks more simplified because there are fewer terms, but they are equal in value. If I took a value of x and plugged it in here and used the order of operations to solve that problem, I would get the exact same answer as if I took that same value of x and plugged it into this more simplified expression. Let's try another example. Negative 11 plus 9 times the quantity of x plus 3. Now, a lot of the times we are tempted to do this addition first in the front because it looks like we could simplify that. But remember, multiplication comes before addition no matter what. The only exception is if the addition were in the parentheses and the multiplication was outside of the parentheses. Now, in this problem, we can't do the addition in the parentheses, so we do our distributive property. So we're going to just leave that negative 11 as is, plus 9 times x, which is 9x, plus, bring down that plus sign, 9 times 3, which is 27. We are going to now see if there's anything else we can do to simplify this a little bit. And if you notice, I have a negative 11, which has no variable, and I also have a plus 27, which has no variable. The only term I have with an x is the plus 9x, and so there's nothing to combine it with. So I will just combine the two that don't have a variable. Negative 11 plus 27 is 16. And then since I have a plus 9x as part of my answer, I'm going to put those two together. 16 plus 9x, or you could even write it as 9x plus 16. Same answer either way. All right, one more to try together, and then I'll have you try some on your own. Here you're going to start again by getting rid of all multiplication. This is just 3 times 2x, which is 6x, plus 4 times 5, minus 4 times 2x, which is 8x. Our like terms here are only 6x and minus 8x. So if I solve that, combine those, 6 minus 8 as negative 2x. And then again, we have nothing to combine here with our plus 20, so we'll just put those two together for our final answer. Now let's take a moment to try some on our own. Pause the video if you need more time. For your first example, you should get 30x plus 12. This is 21x. 3 times 7 is 21, plus 3 times 4 is 12, plus 9x. 21x plus 9x is 30x, and then bring over the plus 12. For your second example, you should get 11x plus a negative 16y plus 6. You start by distributing the 2, bringing down the 6 because I can't do anything with it yet, plus 2 times 5x, which is 10x, minus 2 times 8y, which is 16y, and then bringing down the plus x because it's outside of the parentheses, so it does not get multiplied by 2. Now I have my plus 10x and my plus 1x, remember there's a 1 there, that I can add together to get 11x. And then we have a minus 16y, so I wrote plus a negative 16 because remember I said take all parts of your answer and when in doubt put a plus sign in between them. However, you could also just write that as a minus 16y and plus 6. Our last example, a little trickier with those negatives. We have 26h plus 29. Negative 2h there, and then minus negative 2 times 11, which is a negative 22. And then plus 7 times 4h, which is 28h. So we have our negative 2h and our plus 28h, which gives us 26. And then, oops, that should be a 22. Not a 29, but it would be plus 29 because we have minus a negative 22.